there are a lot of resources that go into this program with our faculty from all over the world, 35 faculty, 35 to 40 faculty. And the really the intense one-on-one experience that our students receive. So we need to do some significant fundraising to actually make this opportunity available to people. We really it's been wonderful to bring our students that are concentrated into the community via our tour guide hops, where sometimes they're bringing their parents, where they're going from business to business and discovering the community there along, and then also sharing their music and hopefully inspiring people to attend concerts and get excited about the art form if they aren't exposed to it yet, and maybe bring their kid to lessons. Barb.
Okay. Many of you may remember that Green Mountain did a fundraiser for us here for the food shelf 2 years ago, and it was very successful. And I just want everybody to know that there are concerts that you can attend.
Thank you, Barb. I'm gonna hand this to Amanda, who has a few words to share.
Thank you. That video is great. It says a lot. But I think one thing it doesn't, it's almost impossible to show the volume of performances that we have here in Burlington and the surrounding area for those 4 weeks. So as Liz mentioned, we have quartet hops and we do a lot of community engagement. That's, the mission of Green Mountain more or less is to provide this really, really world-class training for these students who are, many of them go on to be professional musicians, but also to really, really empower, the community engagement arm of their future careers. And also for us to just connect with as many different audiences here as possible. So we have family concerts, we have a lecture series, we do pop-up concerts all over, and then we have our quartet hops, which are all in one day.
Mention the library also.
And we do many, many things at the library. Yes, we were at the Williston Library twice this past summer, as well as Fletcher Library, South Burlington Library, the library in Colchester. So we are grateful to have so many wonderful community partners. And just here to let you all know that we exist. We're very, very present in the summer, and we hope to see you at some of our performances. We'll also be here, some of our faculty will be here the weekend of March 13th and May, just making sure I don't get this wrong, May 8th, the weekend of May 8th, 9th, and 10th. So we'll have those details on our website soon, but we'd love to see you. And if you're interested in getting involved as well, you can get in touch with us. But thank you for having us this morning. It's great to see all of you.
Amanda, just for stopping by, and thank you for your presentation. We will give a donation to the Williston School Mentoring Program in the name of the Green Mountain Chamber Music Festival.
Thank you.
And if you would, please pick a ticket. And read the last three numbers.
Last three, 5, 8, 9.
5, 8, 9.
Someone came early.
Must be.
Thank you. So we're going to do 2 classification talks today. We haven't done a classification talk in the last 6 or 8 months. So Kel Bachus, come on down. How are you today, Kel?
I'm
Excellent.
Thank you for the chamber music. It was a nice way to start the morning, actually. Bright faces and chamber music. I don't know if I can top that, actually. This is it back now. So Howard goes, "You gonna tell that story today?" Like, yeah, actually, I am. Howard knows the story, so he go to sleep while I tell it again. I've had kind of a crazy life, and trying to sum it all up and make it into something coherent for you is completely impossible, so I'm not even gonna try. So I'm gonna tell you about just one incident. And the reason that I'm telling you this is not about me, actually, it's about the world. And some stuff I kind of want you guys to, I want everyone to take away from this has to do with the world, not about me in particular. So yeah, let's go. And I apologize in advance too, because this is like, got animations and stuff in it, but we'll just click our way through it. It'll be
We
fine.
will. We will.
So-
The owl, I just wanna kill I wanna strangle the owl. The owl is like.
Can you do
freaking
a
out.
slideshow mode?
I can try.
Beautiful.
Let's see.
So
Nope.
how I
Yeah.
got to this
Wait,
place
yeah.
is sort of complicated, but long story short, my dad worked for the United Nations for many years in UNDP, which is a development program. It's not like diplomatic corps, it's not fancy. It's kind of one step up from Peace Corps, or one step down, depending on who you ask.
What is UNDP stand for?
United Nations Development Program. It's now defunct, but at the time, it was sort of, oh, let's take, good things to developing nations, but it was also the way that the US got into countries like Ghana, which is where we were, to not have those countries be influenced by the Russians, but by us instead. And this was sort of post-Vietnam kind of stuff. So that's kind of where we were at. So Ethiopia, go. If you guys have seen the movie Argo, that movie was very resonant for me. So Ethiopia, 1976, is a interesting political time there. The country was under control of the Derg. There was kind of a whole bunch of things that had happened, but essentially, Selassie had been overthrown, and the new government that had taken over was headed by Mariam. And anybody who's been in Africa has heard that name because there's a lot of people who've had some influence, and Mariam's one of those people. And basically, it was the junta government in Ethiopia against everyone else. And there was a lot of different factions, but at the time, the biggest faction that was trying to depose this sort of dictatorship were the Somalis. And there's a whole bunch of really complicated parts to that in this story don't matter as much as the fact that the government that was there at the time was a dictatorship, and there was militarized control of the country. Next slide. So in 77, the Derg is at war with the ESLF, which is more or less backed by Soviet Russia. So, and as I said, there's sort of lots of players going on in Africa at the time, and this is sort of an example of that. And then at that time, the U.S. embassy and most of the other embassies had been evacuated. Addis Ababa was cleared. Nobody who could leave had not left. So that was kind of the setting the scene. So keep going. So they're starting their first real invasion into, or sort of back into, in their point of view, the country, but Addis Ababa in particular. So that's kind of where we're at as this story opens. Next slide. All right. So meanwhile, I am 7 or 8 years old at the time. My family boards a plane that looks a little bit like that in Accra, Ghana. And I think we were going to Thailand originally. But as sometimes happens, there's an expat expression, WAWA, WA, which is West Africa always wins. Yeah. But everything went wrong with the plane. We landed, we landed in Nigeria unscheduled. We landed in Cameroon's unscheduled. We landed sort of like all the way across like that part of Africa. We kept landing because things were going wrong with the plane and they were trying to fix them. At one point we looked outside and it's like duct tape, they're like duct tape. Which actually I found out is actually a legitimate fix for some things on an airplane. So I guess I should feel better about that, but we didn't at the time. And my mom, even after years of being in foreign service, my mom was a really nervous flyer. So this was not helping her either. But yeah, things went wrong. And when we did finally get underway after all of these stops, we got an announcement from the pilot that we were going to emergency land. And everybody said, "Where are we emergency landing?" And he said, Addis Ababa.
Oh,
And, so this was a flight of, it's a really small plane. And it's a Air India flight. So it's mostly Indian business people, mostly businessmen, and my family, and then like one Ghanaian guy. And so it's a small group of people, primarily Indians. Indians were not pleased about this. We obviously weren't pleased about this. And the captain said sort of self-defensively, well, haha, at least it isn't Khartoum. So that was kind of the joke of the day. But anyway, good one. So we did land in Addis Ababa, which was a hot mess at the time. So the Indian business people were all put on one bus. We were held sort of in the airplane for a few hours, which is normal. Like sitting on the airplane on a tarmac, like in this time in Africa was not a big deal. Like, right, you could sit there for a while and that would be okay. We sat there for 4 hours, which was kind of pushing the edge. But you know, and they just kept saying, "Oh, we're negotiating. We're going to do our repairs and then we're going to get going." Not a good sign.
Yeah.
So they get the Indian businessmen off the plane. They put them in a bus and they disappear. And it's just my family and this one Ghanaian guy left over. And eventually they put us on a bus. And they take us into the airport. The airport is deserted. Now, the only people who are currently in the airport at the time are a bunch of soldiers using these weapons, which are Soviet AK. You can see them all over Africa at the time. And so there was sort of this armed guards there. And that was it. That was it in the airport. We're kind of standing there and there's this weird silence, right? Airports should not be quiet. Even at night, there's always noise in airports. This is like this bizarre kind of silence. I think one slide forward. Yeah. And so this two businessmen come up to my dad and my mom and I, and then this one Ghanaian guy, and they said, give us your passports. And it was like, you know, out of the blue, just like that was the introduction, not, you know, hello, not, you know, welcome to Ethiopia, just give us your passports. And so my dad showed them our passports and he said, no, give us your passports. And my dad sort of said, you know, get effed. Because we don't ever hand over our passports, particularly not in this situation. Just so you know, never give up your passports. It's like, don't ever do that. However, then they pointed a lot of guns at us. And the Ghanaian guy is telling my dad, be cool. Because my dad's got kind of a temper. And so my dad's like, okay, these passports, I understand now. And he hands over our passports. The problem with doing that, and the reason why if you can ever be in this situation, which I hope you're not, don't give up your passports because you disappear at that point. If you don't hold your passports, you can no longer prove that you even exist, much less that you're an American citizen. So it was a smart thing for them to do. And so we disappeared at that point. The Ghanaian guy was taken off in one direction. We were taken off in another direction. We were actually taken to a really nice hotel. I know it doesn't look like much, but the Ethiopian hotel at the time was like a premier hotel in Africa. It was really nice on the inside. It was a pretty fancy hotel. And there was a skeleton staff there. And I don't know if they were housing military. I don't know like who was actually staying there. It was very empty, obviously, except for soldiers. And they took us in and they basically said, you need to stay in your rooms or in the hotel or you'll be shot. My parents are like, got it, no problem. Like, what do you say to that? Like, okay. So we were there for 3 days. And during that time, obviously there's not a lot you can do, right? We're in the hotel, we're surrounded by soldiers. But there were hotel staff there and they were actually really nice. They were a little bit concerned about me because I had a tendency to sort of roam around. And my parents let me roam around even under these situations, which is bonkers. But anyway, they were really nice to me and they let me go all over the hotel and kind of like, oh, don't go outside. You know, and even played with me and stuff. It was great. And I, you know, Ethiopian food is really spicy, you guys. It's really, really spicy. But Ethiopia was also at one point, one of the many groups of people that occupied Ethiopia was Italy. So they make really good spaghetti. It's spicy spaghetti, but they make good spaghetti. So they made me some really good spicy spaghetti because I was sad. And so I had really spicy spaghetti and they had Coca-Cola and it had Arabic on it. So that was pretty cool. I mean, you know, from a kid point of view, yeah, we're in a big hotel. I'm in a big hotel all the time. You know, right? I didn't know what was going on. I mean, guns, whatever. I mean, I've been in military state countries kind of growing up all my life. So having a bunch of military people with guns around was not weird for me. It was a lot, you know, you could tell it was a tense situation. It sucked that we had to be somewhere when we were supposed to be somewhere else. But, you know, for my purposes, we're a big, beautiful hotel, really nice hotel staff. Let's go. Yeah, not bad. Next. So in the middle of the, in the middle of the night, there were this, and whole hotel kind of jumps and things fall off the walls and parents are kind of looking at each other and I'm like, oh, what's that? So I go flying to the window before they can stop me and there's like, you know, beautiful like lights and all this stuff and my parents are like, how do we fireworks? This was fireworks. They said, and of course, tap there. It was bomb. Like literally across the street. They had just blown up essentially the train station. They'd blown up like there was like an underground area and they'd blown up that whole thing. So that was exciting, but I had no idea, right? Like I had no idea as a kid. It was only afterwards that my parents were like, yeah, by the way, right? So behind the scenes, as we're dealing with all of this, my parents are trying to figure out what to do because there's no way for us to contact anybody outside the hotel. Unknown to us, the Indian business people had gotten a hold of somebody in their embassy. There was a couple people left there, and they had said, "There's one Ghanaian guy and one American family who didn't make it, and we need to find them." So the Indian embassy knew that we were there, and there was one lonely file clerk. I don't know what he'd done to deserve this, but he was the one remaining person in the French embassy, and he was like way down. I'm sure he was like packing files, right? They knew we were there. The hotel staff let them know sort of on the sly that we were there. And so unbeknownst to us, they were working on getting us out of there. Next slide, I think. Yeah, so what happened was the clerk at the French embassy with the, one copier and 2 ballpoint pens he had there probably, made us up French passports with random photographs from somewhere. I mean, I think it was like, cutting them out of magazines. I don't know. He made up some paperwork and said, he said, yeah, on behalf of the French embassy, you're holding French citizens and we demand that they be released. And the government's like, no, we're not. It's brilliant. This is like, I'm telling you, this is like staff. This is like a clerk, right? We're not talking about like, this is not a diplomat. This guy goes, you're holding French citizens. And they said, prove it. And the clerk says, prove that you're not. And they're like, oh. Right? So there's like this total checkmate. And the hostage situation, I mean, like governments are starting to learn like this is not good for PR, right? That's why we needed to disappear and why we probably would have been killed. We were kind of a hot potato situation. We landed on their doorstep, but they weren't going to keep us alive because clearly they couldn't at that point, right? So we were French citizens. The Indian embassy also leaned on them and they got us out of there. They got us literally, they're just like, get on a plane, any plane. We got on, I don't even remember where we got on a plane. We got bounced around. Remember, we don't have actual passports at this point. We have these like, Xeroxed and probably mimeographed at the time, whatever. Bounced around from airport to airport, went to Cairo, we went to Bombay. And I think we wound up in Bombay because the Indian embassy was like, go, we'll let them know, right? And we wind up there and finally, somehow our actual passports catch up to us. And we get on an Air France flight because they had heard that all of this had gone down. And they're like, put them on a flight, it's fine, we'll get them back on track. And we wound up in first class on Air France. And this was back in the day when it was like, like this, like first class was like, silverware. And what I mean, it's silverware, right? And champagne and oysters and all this stuff. So, and we wound up in Bangkok, which is one of my favorite places growing up was one of the hotels we stayed at there, the Erewhon. And yeah, and there we were. And the takeaway that I want you to bring from this is that there are a lot of, growing up, like I learned, there's a lot of violent, scary, selfish people in the world, and they often have power. But in the face of that, there are also so many people who will put themselves on the line for you and who will take risks and who will act on your behalf and who want to make sure that the right thing gets done. And it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're in a hotel in Ethiopia or if you're, in Bangkok or if you're in, someplace in Burma, that people will help. They will do the right thing. And that in the face of all the weird stuff I saw over the years, that just over and over and over again is what we saw. So that's what I want you to take away from this, is that's the world, right? We see the dictators, but what we don't see is the file clerk at the French embassy. We don't see the Indian businessman who made sure that they knew that we were there. There's just, there's a whole trail of people helping. So that's my story. All right.
That's good. So we do have a couple of announcements. So no, I'm gonna postpone you for another time.
Yeah.
Maybe you will tell me at least what you told me earlier. What happened in December?
My partner and I got engaged.
Around.
Right, it's
It's a teaser. It is the trailer, right?
Right.
So, Rick wanted to come up?
Oh,
No, come on up, come on up.
Well, I don't have complete information yet.
That's okay. We now have lots of time.
Well, I don't have a report yet. I was supposed to talk about the Christmas tree, or the Christmas toy, program, and I wanted to get the final information, but I talked to a couple more people. Overall, I think we did about the same, or maybe a little bit better than we did last year. But, until I get the final numbers, I can't be certain. But in any case, I do want to thank all those who served as Christmas tree or the Christmas barrels, for the toys, for all the work they did in monitoring and bringing the toys to the central location. And of course, Howard for, helping me pick up the barrels after we were done. So that's pretty much it.
Another time, he did text me, he wanted to give. And I didn't pull him at random, so. Chris.
All right.
Even a award for me or something?
No. You have the report in there.
All right. Good morning.
Right.
I think a lot of us are noticing that the microphone gain might be turned way down because.
Turn it up.
Yeah, I don't know how to turn it up. I can speak louder.
Push the button.
Just the bottom.
How about?
No, I can do it in a second.
All right.
At least our worries. The video, you get seasick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, something's going on with the owl. I noticed that. Test better. That's much better.
Which does Mike?
All right. I thought it was a guy's name. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, so, happy New Year. I've been saying to people, hopeful New Year. I don't have a lot of jokes this morning. I have, but I was sick for 3 weeks in December. And I'm finally feeling better. And, a lot of people I know and talk to, it's the same deal. A lot of people are getting sick and, anyhow, we can start over here on this end, Chris.
Yeah, a public service announcement, public service announcement, the fundraising committee is meeting, as soon as the club meeting is over, we'll be in the sitting room, which is down the hall.
Okay. John.
Good morning, all. Happy New Year. It's the first dollar just for the weather. We finally get above freezing, right? For the first time in weeks. Days are getting longer. That's exciting. And the second dollar, which means it's almost spring, right? Baseball starts. Now the countdown begins, right? We're 33 days away for opening of pitching catches, like 33 days. That's a good sign. And not a lot going on in baseball right now, right? Not even a lot of stymies. So I've been doing some research just because, you have to have some baseball. And I was looking at rare feats. And here's a very rare feat that happened only once in the history of baseball, and it's 160 years since its inception. a walk-off inside the park, a grand slam. So that's pretty rare. I mean, walk-off grand slams are rare. But even by winning by 1 run, July 25th, 1956, Roberto Clemente came up, right? Roberto Clemente, one of the most exciting baseball players of all time, came up against the Cubs in his home field of Forest Field, cavernous outfield there. They hit off the screen, which was not a home run, it was a shorter field there, and turned a 8-5 deficit with a grand slam. They won 9-8 with 2 out walk-off grand slams. So inside the park. So it was exciting, circling the bases. Just imagine that. So one of the rare feats in baseball happened once in its history. Thanks.
Anybody here?
Yeah.
Yes, I got a dollar. I got to meet my sister's new baby at, during the holidays. That's her second. That was very fun. And didn't get sick when the rest of my family got sick. So I guess I kind of take some joy in that. I work with my fraternity at UVM, and a bunch of them were on the UVM rugby team, which won the national championship, which was really cool. So another national championship to UVM, and then I'll give another dollar just for her saying yes. So.
That's worth more.
Yeah.
Let's see, Vince.
And Andy has my money. So I won. He's got my money. Sure he did. So first, for the guests, thank you for stopping by and telling us about your festival. And to be honest, we all need to, support the arts. It's been a challenge, and everybody reads what's going on, so it's a great thing. I had my first grandniece born on my birthday, so that was awesome. And the third thing is the Jets are so bad that they get this second pick in the draft.
Only if Martin has money. Do you have money? Oh, good.
They gave you a nod.
That's good. A big thank you to my spouse who arranged a beautiful celebration for my 80th birthday. We were down in Longboat Key, the whole family. We had a wonderful dinner in the wine cellar. And that was great. The other two things that I wanted to do a little family brag about, a PSA, which is coming out for the date, it's going to be January 24th, is do not use your phones for kids. Be off the media for 24 hours. And our granddaughter Kenzie is in the PSA. You'll probably see it online. And the third little brag is our little Sophie, Kenzie's older sister, just got accepted to Penn.
Nice.
I wanted to thank our guests also. When I was young, I started playing the piano by ear. And then I switched to using my hands, yeah.
Which was better.
So thank you for the Chamber of Music. I'm counting on Barbara to keep us informed about when and where all the events will be. My husband likes to pretend he's a troglodyte, doesn't like